comrade, yes it's me, a Yorkshireman, now living in Wales, and I hope everybody's okay. Power to the people. Today, comrades, hopefully, I'm going to come to a bit of a conclusion. I started looking at a while ago into Gwynedd Council and the climate agenda they've got, and one thing in particular which caught my eye was purchasing of many electric vehicles. And from what I could tell, there was no need, because the fleet they have, as in internal combustion engines and vehicles, should I say, was going fine. So I started asking Gwynedd Council. I wrote to them using Freedom of Information requests, and I said, so two things I was interested in is what's the renewal process for with the internal combustion engines? So how do they decide how to do it and the rest of it? And they did get back, and the answers sort of varied a little bit to, well, we don't really have a process. There's no policy, there's nothing there. And the other question I wanted to know was who's made the decision? And that becomes very interesting. Anyway, so I started this in about June, July 2025. And in the end, I got that board that I asked for an internal review. And that I asked for that on the 5th of September 2025. I finally got a reply on the 3rd of October 2025. Now, bearing in mind, literally, they're supposed to be working for us. However, we all know that's not quite true this day and age, don't we? We have an aspiration. Anyway, so I'm going to take you through a brief summary of what I've got back from them. Also, the full documentation, i.e. the new documentation, which made things quite clear regarding the EVs, is at the very end. So you can go all the way through and then stop it and read it. So the first thing I got was a review outcome, as you can see. Top box at the top, should I say, and what it said is internal review outcome. Now also on there you'll see I put the FOI request, which is 384, which you can go into what do they know, have a search for that, and you should be able to find the rest of the information. And there are many conversations we've had together. Now it goes on to say, as I read that box, I could confirm that there are no formal decision documentation in relation to the replacement schedule. Right, so according to this person, whoever wrote this, they just make it up. And someone stares at a car and everybody understands that that car is done and it's going to get sold off. Now, I, for one, actually know it doesn't work like that. But then we go down to the other red box, and as you can see, blue arrow, it says where a vehicle change programme is in line with the council's replacement arrangements. Right, so we actually do have an arrangement, but before that they've been saying they haven't. It also goes on further down there, it goes on to say, second blue arrow going down, when a vehicle appears on the programme, the fleet service. So we do have documentation which records a formal decision. And then it goes on to say, third blue arrow, there may be a discussion with service management about the replacement. Right, so they actually do have a process, yet this person, whoever's writing this, is doing the best, so that I don't really notice that. But you do have a process, and I had a feeling you did, so I don't know literally why you're just trying to keep misleading me. What's the value in it? Please tell me, please tell me. So at that point, it then goes on to tell me, as you can see, big low arrow at the top, it was the climate board. They supported the decision. Now, should they really just that climate board, I thought to myself. Also, it says the agenda is driven by the Welsh Government with a direction. Now, it's only a direction, so you say, we'd like to go that way. Now, look at the arrow going down, and it says clear guidance has been given by the Welsh Government. That's guidance only. Don't say you have to commit it, but they are desperate to achieve this by 2030 using our money. Why? I don't know. Why they're desperate for it. But then it goes on further down to say that, but we're lucky, we've got a government grant. Well, that's our money. Now, the problem with all this grant thing is when that money runs out, that means our council tax, your tax if you're watching this, will go up, and this will happen across the country. Right? Your council tax will go up massively, so that other people who sell EV cars and maintain them and everything else then get a nice wad off it, because that's what happens these days. But no one's asked us. That's always my gripe about things like this. So, this is literally the document they then send me. Now look at the date, March the 12th, 2024. They could have sent that to me straight away. But no, they hang on to it, didn't they? They didn't just say, oh yeah, it's here, have a read. And what does it tell me straight away? Well, number one, the decision sought, cabinet approval to prioritise £1.5 million, a bit more, the climate fund, right, so this is all our money, Green Fleet plan, right, there you go, and that's A. Then it goes on to the other stuff. But 1.2 is really interesting. To delegate the right to prioritise the expenditure of the rest of the climate plan fund to the Chief Exec. Sorry, I never voted for the Chief Exec. The Chief Exec is actually going to get a pay rise, and that'll take him up to about 130 grand, plus any extras. Why is he getting that right to do it? Now, I have looked into it and he can do it. I don't even know the bloke, right? But what I did notice, his emphasis, vision and leadership statement says, putting the people of Gwynedd at the heart of the council's work. Well, you're not, mate. You're just ignoring the people of Gwynedd because you're not asking us. So he's now got the right to say, I'm going to do this, I want some new cars. I mean, is he qualified? I don't know. I mean, good luck if you've got to that. You might be the best bloke in the world. But seriously? Now, it don't get any better because he then does it in conjunction with the leader, so this is the leader of the council, right, and members of the Climate and Nature Board. So they're all going to just say, oh, is anybody here? Yeah, I'll vote for that. No, shouldn't be like that. Everybody should be involved. So that needs to stop. Now, I have wrote a formal letter saying I want this looking into because I'm not happy with it. So I'll give you an update on that. Now, it doesn't really help because I then looked at, well, can we afford this? Gwynedd Council, year 24-25, they are in debt to the tune of £1.983 million. Huh, right, okay. So, but from last year, they did manage to drop it by £4.6 million, but it's still £198.3 million. And what do they pay per year in interest on that to service the debt? £8.6 million in interest of our money. So what would you do? Right, you'd say, we're not doing that, we're going to get that debt down so we don't pay as much interest and we're going to get it down to zero, and at that point then we can buy things and do stuff because we're trying to look after, guess who, the council taxpayers' money, because we want to be sensible, because we want to involve them in all the decisions. That's what I'd do anyway. So, he's not got off to a good start, has he? So at that point, going back to this document, and as I say, it's all at the end, what they then said, as I looked through the document, it's about getting zero carbon. Now, the other interesting thing is with that, well, once you've reached it, then what? And I've asked this question of some of our members of the Senate, and none of them can answer the real question. I've asked various other people, they go, what do you mean, we've reached it? And I'm then, well, then what then? And they don't know. So as I go through the document, I then come across this, and this is about the Green Fleet plan. Now, as I said, there's a lot of other interesting stuff in it, and it goes up 4.1, providing the council's services with a fleet of safe, effective and emission-free vehicles in order to deliver for the people of Gwynedd. Did the people of Gwynedd ask for it? In addition to that, how is the electricity produced? Well, I'll tell you now, it's not emission-free, because we live in Wales. So it's always emissions when you start topping up electric. That's how it works. It's like everybody knows that. Anyway, then go down to the good news is 4.3. The purchase will result in emissions savings of 64 tonnes of CO2. Now, that doesn't say if it's per year or when it is. Anyway, I had a go the other day. So I went into my local corner shop and I took in I bought some things. I bought like some crackers, some crisps, a couple of beers and all that, right? And they says, oh yeah, that'll be, you know, £18.53. And I went, oh right. I says, well, can I pay with this? Says, what is it? It's a bag of CO2. Apparently, according to Gwynedd Council, it's worth a lot of money. They looked at me and asked me to leave very politely. That's the problem. I can't even save it. I can't do anything with that. No one can. It's impossible. But that's the contract going on now. Anyway, so that's 4.3. We then go down to 4.4, and it goes on further in, about halfway. But as the cost of buying an electric vehicle is higher than the price of a diesel petrol vehicle, which they already own. So basically they're getting themselves into debt for something they already own because it's more expensive. There exists a funding gap between accrued fund and actual purchase cost. Well, that's common sense. I'll give you a hint, you don't buy them, simple as that. Right? And then we go to 4.5, but we have to go all the way down to the bottom. And what it says here is it is unclear what savings will be in full until 5 years. So they don't even know what the savings are. Now, I have seen documentation which has said, but we do know what they are. But that was from about 2 years ago. Now, so you can see they're doing things and they don't even know what they're doing or why they're doing it and how much it's going to cost us. It's not their money, you see. They think it's a plaything. And then we go to the box on the side, 4.2. 4.12 should I say. And it highlights in that box a year ago our electricity costs, which is all this were based on 1 year ago, if not a bit more, 16.5, but have now increased 25p. No, seriously, yeah, they're going to carry on with it. You can't believe it, can you? So, as you can see, I don't know why they're doing it. I don't understand it. They've got a fleet, they're working the rest of it, and they've got debt, and they also have a process in place which they've denied. So, at this point, it sort of then goes on to, and this comes from the Green Fleet Plan, sorry to jump about a bit, and it goes on to say the carbon savings. So I've looked for the savings of money, actual money, there ain't any, but they love talking about carbon savings. So, in summary, right, basically the Chief Executive at Gwynedd Council, without me electing him or anybody else electing him or having a say, can now just basically get millions of pounds and go, I'm going to spend that. And everybody else who wants that agenda will put their hands up. Problem with that, of course, literally that'll pile debt onto us. So this £198 million is never going to go down because they've actually bought things which they know are far more expensive than what they've got. And they're hoping it'll work. Right, comrades, yeah, a little bit of a rant, but as you can see, trying to unravel these things because they go on for so long becomes very, very difficult to unpick it. And I am really disappointed in Gwynedd Council because all they had to do is say, yes, we have a process, which I knew. P.S. This document will tell you who's the decision maker, but you chose not to. So, as I say, I will give you an update when I get more information. Right, comrades, thank you for watching. Hope everybody's okay, and literally catch you on the other side. Thank you.